My siblings planned a sibling-only getaway, texting. No room for the outsider this time. I'd booked the flights. So I rerouted mine to a luxury resort and let them deal with the no-show fees at the airport. I never thought being the family ATM would end like this. I, 32M, always knew I was different from my siblings. Not in the dramatic, black sheep kind of way, but in the quieter, more insidious way that creeps up on you over years until one day you're standing at the airport watching your entire family dynamic implode. My parents had 4 kids. I was the oldest, followed by my brother who was 2 years younger, then my 2 sisters, 29 and 26. Somewhere along the way, I became the responsible one. The one who went to college on scholarships while working 2 jobs. The one who landed a decent tech job and bought a house at 27. The one everyone called when they needed something. My brother worked in sales, made decent money when he felt like working, and spent most of his time talking about his next big venture. My older sister married young, had 2 kids, and her husband bounced between jobs like he was collecting unemployment as a hobby. My younger sister was still figuring things out, which apparently meant figuring out how to spend money she didn't have. I didn't mind helping. That's what family does, right? I'd covered my brother's rent twice when deals fell through. I'd helped my older sister with her mortgage payment after her husband's latest job situation. I'd co-signed my younger sister's car loan because her credit was shot. Small things, really. Or so I told myself. The family group chat had been active for weeks. My mom had this idea about a sibling trip, just the 4 of us, to reconnect. She said we'd grown distant, that we needed to spend quality time together without spouses, without kids, without distractions. I thought it was a nice idea. I even offered to handle the logistics since everyone else was always too busy. I spent hours researching destinations, comparing flights, looking at accommodations. We settled on a beach resort in Mexico, nothing too fancy but nice enough. I found reasonable flights, a decent hotel with ocean views, the works. I sent everything to the group chat for approval. Everyone loved it. My brother said I was the best. My older sister sent heart emojis. My younger sister said she couldn't wait. Then came the money part. My brother said his commission check was delayed. My older sister mentioned her husband's hours got cut. My younger sister had just paid off a credit card and was tapped out. The familiar chorus of excuses, perfectly choreographed. I knew where this was heading before anyone said it explicitly. My younger sister was the one who finally asked if I could front the money. Just this once. They'd all pay me back once we returned. My brother chimed in, promising his commission would clear by then. My older sister said her tax refund was coming. The same promises I'd heard dozens of times before, the ones that somehow never materialized. I did the math. 4 round-trip tickets, hotel for a week, ground transportation. I was looking at around $8,000, not counting spending money. $8,000 I'd never see again, disguised as a loan. But they were family. My mom wanted this. So I said yes. I booked everything on my credit card. I sent the confirmation emails to the group chat. Everyone was excited, grateful, already planning what to pack. My brother joked about teaching me to surf. My older sister talked about the spa. My younger sister researched restaurants. I felt good about it, or at least I convinced myself I did. The trip was set for 3 months out in late July. Peak season, which meant the flights weren't cheap, but I'd secured everything. I even upgraded my own ticket to premium economy as a small treat to myself. I figured I deserved it for organizing everything and, let's be honest, paying for everything. That's when things got weird. About 6 weeks before the trip, I noticed a shift in the group chat dynamics. Messages were fewer. My siblings seemed to be talking around me rather than to me. Then I wasn't tagged in certain messages at all. I'd scroll up and see gaps in the conversation, replies to messages I couldn't see. I wasn't paranoid. I was observant. There's a difference. Years of being the family problem solver had taught me to notice patterns, and this pattern was familiar. They'd done this before when planning my younger sister's surprise birthday party, creating a separate chat without me to coordinate. But this felt different. I should have confronted them right then. Instead, I waited. I've never been the confrontational type, which my siblings had learned to exploit. I was the reasonable one, the understanding one, the one who let things slide because keeping the peace was easier than making waves. Then my phone pinged with a notification, except it wasn't in the main group chat. Somehow, I'd been added to a message thread I wasn't supposed to see. Technology fails are democratic like that, even in betrayal. My younger sister had created a new group, probably meant to exclude me, but she'd fumbled and included my number by mistake. The message that popped up was from my brother, and it made my blood run cold. He wrote about how this trip was going to be perfect now that it was just the three of them, no outsider this time, and they could finally have a real sibling bonding experience. I stared at my phone, reading and rereading those words. The outsider. That's what I was to them. Not their brother who'd just spent $8,000 on their vacation. Not the person who'd been there for every crisis, every financial emergency, every desperate 3 a.m. phone call. The outsider. The messages kept coming. My older sister agreed, saying it would be nice to have a trip without the one who always acted superior just because he had his life together. My younger sister laughed about how they'd finally get to enjoy themselves without someone silently judging them for ordering drinks or splurging on excursions. They went on about how they'd already planned their own trip for the same dates, same destination, different resort. A nicer one, actually. They'd been saving for months, apparently, pooling money for this secret getaway. They were going to wait until the last minute to tell me the original plan fell through, that they'd have to cancel, that they'd pay me back for the flights eventually. I sat in my home office, the home I'd bought with my own money, staring at my phone like it was a foreign object. 20 years of being the dependable one, the responsible one, the ATM with a pulse, and this was what I got. Not even the courtesy of honesty. Just a secret group chat calling me an outsider while they planned to strand me with $8,000 in charges and a solo vacation to a resort I'd picked for them. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about every time I'd helped them, every loan I'd written off, every crisis I'd solved. My brother's rent, my older sister's mortgage, my younger sister's car, the wedding gift, the birthday money, the emergency funds, added up over the years, and I'd subsidized their lives to the tune of probably $50,000. And I was the outsider. Morning came with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. I made coffee, opened my laptop, and started working. First, I checked the airline's policies. All 4 tickets were in my name, charged to my card, with me as the primary passenger for booking purposes. The others were listed as additional travelers on my reservation. That detail mattered more than I'd realized when booking. Most airlines let you change or cancel tickets up to 24 hours before departure, subject to fees. But these tickets had been purchased with travel insurance, something I'd added without thinking much about it, because I'm thorough like that. The insurance covered cancellations for various reasons, and more importantly, it covered ticket modifications. I spent the morning on the phone with the airline, my voice steady, my explanation simple. I explained that there'd been a change in plans, that I needed to modify my ticket to a different destination, same dates. The agent was helpful. She pulled up my reservation and asked which ticket I wanted to change. Just mine, I told her. The others would still be traveling to the original destination. She seemed confused for a moment, asked if I was sure since it was a family booking, but I confirmed. My ticket got rerouted to a resort in the Maldives I'd seen while doing the original research, a place I'd initially dismissed as too expensive, too indulgent. Funny how perspective shifts. The change fee was covered by the insurance, and I only paid the fare difference, which was significant but worth every penny. The agent confirmed my new itinerary, and I thanked her. The remaining 3 tickets to Mexico stayed active. My siblings would still have their flights, still have their hotel reservation, all in my name, all charged to my card. Next, I called the Mexican resort. I explained that there'd been a change in my travel plans and I needed to modify the reservation. The front desk manager was accommodating. I removed my name from the reservation entirely, left my siblings' names only, and confirmed that they'd need to provide a credit card upon check-in for incidentals and the room charges. See, here's the thing about hotel reservations. When you book with a credit card, that card typically holds the reservation and covers the first night or the full stay, depending on the cancellation policy. But if you remove yourself from a reservation and you're the primary cardholder, the hotel needs a new payment method at check-in. Otherwise, no room. I'd prepaid nothing. The reservation was guaranteed with my card number, but no charges had processed yet. Standard practice for reservations booked months in advance. When my siblings arrived, they'd need to provide payment for a week-long stay at a decent resort during peak season. Probably around $4,000, split 3 ways if they were smart about it. The manager asked if I wanted to cancel the entire reservation. I said no, just remove my name and make sure the remaining guests understood they'd need to settle the charges. She confirmed it was done. I thanked her and hung up. For a week, I said nothing. I watched the secret group chat continue, my younger sister having never realized she'd added me by mistake. They talked about their upcoming trip, their real trip, laughing about how they'd finally get away from the family obligation. My brother joked about ditching me at the airport. My older sister said she couldn't wait to relax without feeling guilty for not being perfect. I could have confronted them. Part of me wanted to. But I've learned that actions speak louder than words, and some lessons can only be taught through experience. My mom called 3 days before the trip, excited, asking if I was packed. I told her I was ready, which was true. She said she was so happy we were doing this, that it meant the world to her. I felt a pang of guilt, but pushed it down. This wasn't about her. This was about 3 adults who'd made a choice. The morning of the flight, I woke early. My bag was packed, my passport ready. I'd arranged for a car to take me to the airport, timing it so I'd arrive after my siblings, but with plenty of time for my own flight. Different terminal, different airline, different destination. I got to the airport and checked in smoothly. My flight to the Maldives was on time, departing 2 hours after their Mexico flight. I grabbed coffee and waited in a quiet corner of my terminal, my phone in my hand. The first message came 20 minutes before their scheduled departure. It was in the main family group chat, the one they'd been neglecting. My brother asking where I was, saying they were at the gate. I didn't respond. Let them sweat a little. Then my phone rang. My older sister. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. My younger sister. Voicemail. Then my brother. Each call increasingly frantic. Each voicemail a variation of asking where I was, saying they couldn't wait much longer, saying the plane was boarding. My phone buzzed with texts. They were panicking now, saying they'd miss the flight if I didn't show up. My brother sent a message asking if I was okay. My older sister said this wasn't funny. My younger sister said they needed to board. I sipped my coffee and watched my gate information update. Right on schedule. Their flight departed without me. I knew because the messages shifted from frantic to confused. My brother sent a text asking if I'd missed the flight, if I was rescheduling. My older sister asked what happened. My younger sister said they were already in the air and would I be on a later flight. I didn't respond to any of it. I boarded my own flight, settled into my premium seat, and turned off my phone. The next 12 hours were blissfully silent. The Maldives exceeded every expectation. My resort was on a private island, accessible only by seaplane. My overwater bungalow had glass floors where I could watch fish swim below. The staff treated me like royalty. I spent my days snorkeling, my evenings watching sunsets that looked photoshopped, my nights sleeping better than I had in months. I turned my phone on after the first day. The messages were volcanic. My siblings had landed in Mexico and discovered at the hotel check-in that I'd removed myself from the reservation. The front desk asked for a credit card to cover the stay. None of them had one that could handle a $4,000 charge. My brother called me 7 times in a row. My sisters sent paragraphs of text demanding to know what was going on, where I was, why I'd left them stranded. I read every message and responded to none. They'd apparently argued with the hotel staff for an hour, insisting the room was already paid for, that there must be a mistake. The manager pulled up the reservation and confirmed that I'd removed myself and that they needed to provide payment. Without it, no room. My siblings ended up at a budget motel 2 miles from the beach. According to the messages, it had a broken air conditioner and sketchy Wi-Fi. They were furious. My brother sent a message calling me selfish and immature. My older sister said I'd ruined the trip. My younger sister said she couldn't believe I'd do this to them. The irony was apparently lost on them. By day 3, my mom had called. She'd heard from my siblings about the situation, and she wanted to know what happened. I finally answered, my voice calm. I told her everything. The secret group chat. The messages calling me an outsider. Their plan to ditch me while I funded their vacation. All of it. She was quiet for a long time, then asked if I was sure. I sent her screenshots. She went silent again, and when she spoke, her voice was different. She said she needed to call me back. My siblings' messages changed tone after that. Suddenly they were sorry. They didn't mean it. It was just a joke. They were stressed and said things they didn't mean. My brother said the group chat was stupid and he felt terrible. My older sister said she never wanted to hurt me. My younger sister said she'd pay me back for everything she promised. I responded finally, keeping it brief. I told them I hoped they enjoyed their trip, that I certainly was enjoying mine, and that when I returned, we'd have a conversation about expectations and boundaries. Until then, they should consider what kind of relationship they actually wanted with me. Then I turned off my phone again. Update 1. I've been back for 2 weeks now, and the fallout has been exactly what I expected and somehow still surprising. My mom called the day I landed, asking to meet for lunch. I agreed, curious about what she'd say now that the dust had settled. She apologized, which I didn't expect. She said she'd been blind to the dynamics between us, that she'd always encouraged me to help because I was capable and they needed it, but she'd never realized how it had created this toxic pattern. She asked what I wanted to happen next. I told her the truth. I wasn't cutting anyone off completely, but the financial help was done. Finished. No more loans, no more cosigns, no more emergency funds. If they wanted a relationship with me, it would be built on something other than my wallet. She understood, said she'd support whatever boundaries I set, and admitted she'd enabled all of this by always asking me to be the bigger person. My siblings tried calling after that conversation. I let each one go to voicemail, waited a day, then called back when I was ready. My brother was first. He apologized, said the group chat was stupid, that he'd gotten caught up in my sister's complaining and went along with it. He swore he didn't mean what he said about me acting superior. I asked him flat out if he'd ever planned to pay me back for any of the money he'd borrowed. He hesitated, then admitted probably not, that he'd always figured I didn't really need it and would eventually forgive the debt. That honesty, at least, was refreshing. I told him I appreciated the admission, that I wasn't interested in the money anymore, because trying to collect it would just create more drama. But going forward, we were done with loans. If he wanted to grab a beer sometime, I was open to it. If he needed money, he could try a bank. My older sister's call was harder. She cried, said she was embarrassed and ashamed, that she'd let her frustration with her own life make her resentful of mine. She admitted she'd been jealous that things came easy to me, which made me laugh because nothing had come easy. I'd worked my tail off for everything I had while watching them make choices that kept them struggling. I wasn't cruel about it, but I was honest. I told her that her financial problems weren't my responsibility, that her husband's employment issues weren't mine to solve, and that if she wanted help, it needed to come in the form of advice or connections, not cash. She agreed, said she understood, asked if we could still have a relationship. I said yes, but it would take time to rebuild trust. She accepted that. My younger sister was the worst conversation. She was defensive, said I was overreacting, that the group chat was just venting, and everyone vents about family sometimes. She insisted they were going to tell me about the change in plans, that they weren't really going to strand me. When I pointed out that their actions suggested otherwise, she got angry. She said I'd humiliated them, that I'd ruined their vacation, that what I did was petty and vindictive. I let her vent, waited until she was done, then asked if she'd ever considered how humiliating it was to discover your siblings considered you an outsider while actively planning to exploit you financially. She didn't have an answer for that. The call ended badly, and we haven't spoken since. The family group chat is dead. No one's posted in it since the trip. My mom started a new one with just her and me, which feels appropriate. My brother texts occasionally, usually about sports or random memes, carefully avoiding anything deeper. My older sister sends periodic updates about her kids, testing the waters. I've blocked my younger sister for now. Maybe that's harsh, but I need space from her particular brand of entitlement. The interesting thing is how much lighter I feel. I didn't realize how much weight I'd been carrying, how much of my mental energy went into managing their crises and swallowing my resentment. Now, when my phone rings, I don't feel that automatic dread that someone needs something. I'm not proud of how this played out. There's probably a more mature way I could have handled it, some conversation that might have resulted in less drama. But I also know that years of trying to address things directly had gotten me nowhere. Sometimes people only learn when they face consequences. My siblings needed to understand that I'm not an ATM, I'm not a safety net, and I'm definitely not an outsider looking in on their exclusive club. I'm a person who deserves respect, honesty, and basic human decency. If they can't provide that, then they don't get the benefits of having me in their lives. The Maldives was incredible, by the way. Best $8,000 I've ever spent, even if it wasn't the trip I'd planned. I've got photos on my desk now, reminders that I'm allowed to invest in my own happiness instead of everyone else's. Sometimes the best revenge is living well, and I'm finally learning what that means. If you'd like to see more stories like this, a gentle tap on the subscribe button would mean the world to us.